we have on the Fireside chat on cloud adoption, outlook, and trends, public versus private sectors. We're joined by our panelists. First up, Golok Simli, the Chief of Technology, Passport Seva Program, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. Well, Mr. Simli is an award-winning technology leader whose contribution towards National E-Governance Plan of India during its inception in the year 2006-2007 was noteworthy. He's somebody who's helped in steering and ensuring smooth delivery of passport services at the doorstep of the citizen in India, one of India's most successful e-governance project. And we're also joined by Amit Varma, the Executive Director, DBS Bank. Amit, over a career spanning 22 plus years, has positively influenced the financial services industry as a technology pioneer, business leader, organization builder, innovator, and a digital transformation catalyst leading technology functions across US, Europe, and India. Well, with this, ladies and gentlemen, I now leave it to Amit and Golok to take it forward with the fireside chat. Thank you all for joining us at the World Cloud Show India. Over to you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Varma.
Bhavna, for the kind introduction. Thank you. And Golok, pleasure, being in your company to discuss this ever-relevant topic along with us.
Thank you, Amit.
Great. So, Golok, if I may, right, let's just start from maybe some of the basics, right? And my request of you would be, as CIOs and CTOs and technology leaders, right, we have a responsibility of setting out the cloud strategy and roadmap of organizations, right? So when you go to do that, right, for everybody's benefit, maybe you can just throw some light on what are some of the considerations, what are the focus areas that you focus into, please.
Oh, thank you, Amit, once again, and welcome in the nice morning of this World Cloud Show. And as you rightly said, Amit, there has to be a journey when we as CTO or CIO or kind of a decision maker of any organization, whether it is a public sector, private sector, or government at large. Whenever you are planning your cloud journey, our experience is that one has to plan, one has to conceptualize well. And when I say so, for an example, what we did, we remember our silo days, and from silo to consolidation way, then to automation way, and probably today we are at a stage where we can say that we are at a disruption way. Now that journey one has to mature, one has to learn, one has to experience. Even before you are attempting towards cloud computing, or let's say this kind of a blockchain kind of a new era, one has to mature. That is the first and foremost thing. The second very important to learn is to understand most of the time what we are experiencing, especially in government sector, public sector at large, saying that we have to understand our workload well. Now, when I say workload, rather I'll say workload and workforce both. Now, when I say workload means what kind of workload is it? Is it the workload is a mission critical workload which I am directly landing into the cloud? Probably that's not the way. The second is there a kind of workload which I can directly hook on into the cloud, or a cloud subscription model kind of a scenario? So first I need to devise and kind of categorize my workload, knowing my data points well, right? And then accordingly probably I should plan the cloud journey. The second part is understanding your workforce very well. Now, for an example, you have a scenario saying that a on-premises and cloud kind of a scenario. Which are the workforce within the organization you are focusing on the cloud side of journey? Which are the organization you are focusing on the on-premises load? And on top of that, overall, when you see the organizational and cultural change at large, is that the workforce is ready to adapt this kind of a environment and scenario over the years, or on the way, or when your journey is on? It must not happen that you started your journey and your workforce, your capacity, your bandwidth is not helping that. So that will not work, and that one has to be very careful. The third thing, while you start for the cloud journey is, I always say that I must know my data well. Meaning to say that, do I understand my data well in terms of sovereign data, in terms of non-sovereign data, in terms of fiduciary data, in terms of public data, in terms of configurable data, so that when I'm making my cloud migration ready, I'm careful enough saying that what is that I am going towards the cloud, what is that I'm managing in-house, what is that I'm managing on premises. So these are the 3-4 basic criteria, Amit, we must be doing before even attempting towards a cloud or this kind of a emerging era. That's my view. Yeah.
Sure. No, thanks for sharing that, Golok. And I totally agree with you, Golok, right? Because very often what happens is people, on the 3 points that you mentioned, right? The 3 points being, in this case, organization, right? Focusing on the organization itself and its maturity and its readiness, right? Secondly, looking at your workload and your workforce, right? Focusing on the people element of it, that's certainly very, very, very key, right? And third and fourth, would be the data part of it, right? So you need to be basically on top of your data and having a strategy towards how you want to manage data, right? And looking at the configuration of that stuff as well, right? And again, from my 2 cents also, right? The way I look at it is, it's certainly important to have all of these strategies and all of these things in place. But prior to doing that, right, I think your point that you mentioned around organizational maturity is very important, right? Because very often people are driven by looking and saying, okay, I'm the CIO, everybody's talking about cloud, that's the next big buzzword, so how do I make sure that, I'm latching onto it, right? And before anybody knows it, there is an organization which is trying to tread a path where they're trying to implement a very aggressive cloud strategy, which might not be in line with their overall organization goals, right? So to your point, I think, Golok, right, the way, and to me, right, there's no distinction. Some of these are basic concepts, right? So there's no real distinction between private and public.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Regard, right?
Absolutely.
And the way I would see, Golok, right, would be what I have done in my own case, right? Speaking about my own experiences, I've divided into 5 steps per se, right? And it would be great to hear your views on this as well. And the way I look at it, right, the first and foremost step is, how do you strategize, right, to identify, first and foremost, the first step being, what is your vision and what is your strategic objective as part of your cloud journey, right? If you don't have those strategic business objectives, right, and business goals identified, right, then you will start moving in a direction which is not in line with your business strategy, right? So it's very important to have that first step, which is to identify what is your your organizational vision and goals, having those identified, right? And then tying the second step being, then you tie in your cloud strategy to those organization vision and goals in terms of how do you then leverage the cloud to get there, right? And then the third step would be, how do you focus on your technology architecture and your roadmap, which then ties into your cloud strategy implementation, right? And the fourth one, being then, how do you, to your point on organizational maturity, right? How do you mature your organizational processes, right? In terms of procurement, for example, right? How do you go and mature your organizational structure, right? Are you getting the right people with the right workforce focused on it, with the right bandwidth, and so on and so forth, right? And then fifth is, how do you actually develop a transition strategy and a change management plan to go from your current state to this future state which you're planning to go, right? Does that resonate with you as well, Golok?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think since you have raised this, one of the example I can quote here, Amit, saying that,
please,
when I was completely overhauling the passport Seva program at large, I could remember saying that the workforce which I had, they were mostly working on a semi-automated manner, on a paper kind of a registry kind of a environment. And I took almost, Amit, almost 2 years to bring them on board. And today you can see the beauty, the same workforce, in terms of productivity, in terms of working on a digital environment, everything. Today, if I say the same workforce, hey, can you go back to your same old age and work on the same paper file? They'll say, no, I can't work, because that is the kind of change management we have done and we have achieved. The second very important thing you have raised, Amit, saying that you must be knowing your strategy well. For an example, today I am at a position where I am looking, can I go my application modernization and DevOps environment into the cloud directly, and which I can do that. Which I can do that without disturbing any data security, privacy, any other concerns. I can do that straight away. But that is the maturity curve I have. That is the maturity curve I have. That is the kind of digital platform which is agile enough, which should be able to allow me to do that, right? Or for an example, any kind of a advanced analytics or social media sentiment analytics, I can straight away go into a cloud subscription model, because that is the way I have matured, that is the way I have learned. And as I said, without even disturbing any sovereign principle, any data security, any compliance and regulation issue, I can straight away do that. And probably I'll be doing that absolutely in Passport Seva version 2. I'll be doing that. So yes, you're right, very right. So that one has to be that's how one has to progress and learn, and then accordingly go on adapting these emerging and new technologies, whether it is a cloud, whether it is a blockchain, whether it is a machine learning, artificial intelligence. So that's how it is. I mean, yeah.
No, certainly, and I think we certainly seem to be in sync there. There's no distinction between public and private, right? In terms of getting a strategy aligned to your business, getting sure that your organizational design, your technology design is aligned to it, and then following the basic change management principles per se. So great to hear your thoughts on that, right, Golok? If I was maybe just to focus on one element of that, the piece that you mentioned about workload and workforce, right? So what I found there, Golok, right, in my own experience was that going to cloud is as much of a cultural change in people's mindset and their thinking, right? Because the fact of the matter is that why take your data away from your data centers, for example, right, which are already established? Why go to a SaaS-based subscription model rather than your currently packaged product of the shelf model, right, for example? So why get your technology team members, right, to feel that going to cloud is important rather than that? So how did you if you could just share some thoughts on your own challenges in this area and how you went about resolving some of those challenges, that would be great, please.
True, Amit. No, again, here I'll say there has to be something, as you rightly said. Why should I suddenly move into the cloud? So first and foremost thing is, I must have some incentive, while moving into the cloud, vis-a-vis your on premises. For an example, when I say some incentive, uh, is that for an example, if I'm moving into a cloud kind of a environment, is that there is a kind of a ease of kind of a doing my in terms of transaction, in terms of application, is there is a concept of, we say, ease of doing business in terms of moving into the cloud? And if that workforce is sure enough saying that the way or the moment I move into this kind of an environment, my work experience really changed, my user experience really changed, and that incentive we as CIO or CTO or CISO, we need to ensure for the users. One, for the users, your own employees, stakeholders, and also for the beneficiaries. That is the first and foremost thing. I must have some incentive, otherwise why should I suddenly switch over from one platform to another platform? That incentive must be visible. That incentive must be productive enough. That incentive must be kind of assurance I am looking. Assurance in the environment, in terms of the governance I am looking for, in terms the security and compliances and regulations, so that post must not suffer into the problem of post facto legal dispute, compliance dispute, or any kind of a regulation dispute. So that incentive one must think before moving into the cloud. The second very important is I must say the pain points. What are the pain points when you move this kind of a cloud journey? And to me, the pain points are, there are 5. And these 5 pain points you say, or the thrust area you say, these are 5, and one the 5 are, one is the concept of hybrid we call, right? I mean, I build application on the, whether it is a private, public, my traditional environment. Once I build the flexibility, I should get to access it from anywhere. Once I build into the cloud, so that is the hybrid concept we must achieve before attempting the cloud. The second we call multi-cloud approach means I must have the complete visibility and control to manage my apps there, which I am moving into the cloud, right? From any vendors. So it must not give me a kind of a vendor lock kind of a scenario, right? So that is the multi-tenancy approach one should look before moving into the cloud. The third is, we call, it must be on an open architecture. Now let me take a little time here. No, when I say open architecture, what I mean is, by design, right? It should enable me towards a architecture must not be looking for a new kind of a functionality, right? So the moment new functionality in my terms of engagement, follow the compliances, the process. If I am looking for a new business application, is architecture which can me is able to withstand. It must not be second up during that point of time. Otherwise, again, I'll have a problem, right?
Sure.
So the architecture must be open. So first thing I said hybrid. Second, I said it should have a multi-tenancy. Third, I said it must have a open architecture. Fourth is the management, and it's very important. I mean, management is very important when you are moving into the cloud. And when I say management means, do I have a constant visibility in terms of governance, in terms of automation, in terms of access and authorization, in terms of complete visibility and traceability on the data, which is again very important. So this manageability aspect we must ensure when we are moving into the cloud. And these are the thrust area, where whether, as you rightly said, whether it is government, private, public, it doesn't matter. And last and not the least, that I always say is the security. And when it comes to building security, wherever I speak, I say that security must be intrinsic. No, whether I'm talking about, let's say, platform as a service, whether I'm talking about infrastructure as a service, whether I'm looking at a software as a service, and especially when I like of a government department or a public sector, especially when we are moving the mission critical load into the cloud, the security must be reliable, and all the controls and the kind of manageability I am looking for, as we rightly discussed, I must be able to achieve that. If you have, or if the cloud provider is assuring me on all these yardsticks, I don't foresee there is an issue. I don't foresee there is an issue. And probably you are realizing that as a part of banking sector, DBS being one of the best bank, you might be realizing that. And why can't, if the banking sector, commercial sector, private sector can assure these kind of a thrust areas and pain points, I don't foresee any difference between while moving applications or your workload or some of your services. For an example, the security operations center, security as a service, you can definitely take from the cloud.
Sure.
DevOps as a service, you can definitely take on the cloud. Who stops that?
Yeah.
So that's how I look.
No, thanks for sharing those insights, Golok. And they're very the 5 points that you mentioned, right, in terms of accessibility, right, the control / ensuring that you're not getting locked in because you've got the control in your hand rather than the vendor having it, right. Ensuring that you're going for an open architecture certainly is very relevant as well. The governance part of it, making sure that you have the right ability to manage, access, authorization, looking at data, looking at security, the lineage. The point that you talked about traceability is very relevant, and security, of course, is intrinsic to all of that as well. So I agree totally, and maybe we can take a small, tangent here, right, into the open architecture point that you mentioned. So let me tell you what I'm seeing in my own area, right? And I say in my own area, I'm talking banking and finance, right, and financial services. So we are certainly going into an era, right, where the need for us to partner and collaborate with both our upstream and downstream and also lateral, right, partners is very high at this point in time, right? So whether I mean, an example in this case being, right, that if I am a bank who's offering, right, a health insurance service, right, for some reason, right, and I've got a health institution firm, right, which has its own offerings and its own website and so on and so forth, it makes a lot of sense for me to integrate my entire health insurance and monitoring and risk management part with their offerings and their, not just their offerings, right, but also with their entire IT ecosystem as a technology partner, right? So and that is why, in banking terms, we have something which we're calling as being open banking, right, which is API driven, right, services which we are offering to various upstream, downstream, and lateral partners that we have, right? Because that way we've come across in a much more structured and organized and integrated ecosystem rather than having people with disparate services and not really leveraging on the benefits that we can by coming together, right, as partners and collaborators. So open banking is certainly key. An example I gave of the insurance and the health services integration there is certainly an example of that. And something which we are doing from our side, right, is basically therefore leading towards going into this API driven and platforms or as a service, right, model. Is this something that you're seeing on your side as well within the government sector?
Oh, absolutely, Amit. No, I in fact know the one which is very interesting, very interesting. I'd again we'll try to focus on 3 areas where government and public sector at large we are focusing. The first and foremost area is, as you rightly said, whether we are talking about open APIs, open banking. Similar is the case here. Now you want to really move away from a system to building an ecosystem. Let me give an example.
Yeah.
We, as a passport issuance ministry or the division, my stakeholders are police as a stakeholder, police authorities. My stakeholder is Department of Post who really dispatch and deliver your passport. My stakeholder is India Security Press Nasik, who actually give us the blank booklet. My stakeholders is the service provider and system integrator who are working with us, or the business partner who are working with us, and on top of that, at the core, the citizens and beneficiaries. Right now, I must look for a system which connect all these dots. Right, connect all the stakeholders and citizen at large, and give me an ecosystem which probably cloud kind of a environment can easily give me. Let me give another example. I launched a mobile app across India, right? One fine morning, I got a call from the Bihar police saying that, sir, you have launched a mobile app, is fine, absolutely fine. We can directly go up to citizen residence. There and there verify, directly upload the data, and you get the data on a real-time basis. Probably it will hardly take 2 to 3 days of time for a police verification. But then they said, sir, the major issue is where I'm going for a verification at a remote village, there is no internet connectivity available. How do I do that?
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Now, in spite of creating the ecosystem at large, in spite of building the applications, I can't give that same seamless experience to a citizen who is residing at a remote village. Why should I be differentiating for a service delivery where I am in Delhi, I get the passport in 3-5 days. A citizen, my own citizens residing at a village, she or he will take 2 months or 3 months. Why can't we ensure that?
Sure.
Then I started thinking, can I give a variance of the application, which even without having the internet availability, that point of time work can continue. The police officer can come back to an area where internet and availability is there, and then probably he can upload the data there as and when he gets an internet connection.
Sure.
But why that I should differentiate and do a kind of a digital divide gaps between the citizens the moment I go into a remote place or a remote village, and thereby these kind of scenario we call the kind of application modernization tools, the kind of application variants I am looking for. If I have this kind of a DevOps environment ready at that point of time in a cloud kind of a subscription model, probably I took almost 15 days to come out of that experience, but I could have done on a probably within 24 hours for my citizen.
Sure.
This is one of the example I am giving, right? So government also, we are thinking, come out from the system, develop a ecosystem where I can leverage maximum, leverage one side, the infrastructure available within the government ecosystem at large. And then on top of that, can I take a help of this kind of a cloud service provider or blockchain service provider where the remote is also taken care? That is one area we're looking, coming out from system, developing a ecosystem and giving a wow experience to the citizen end to end. Whether I'm in Delhi, whether I'm in Ladakh, whether I'm in JNK or a remote village in Jharkhand or Bihar, right?
Sure.
That is first. The second thing is, when we are looking this kind of a architecture cloud variants, we are also looking to come out and create platform of platform. Meaning to say that I can give you a plethora of example. Aadhaar could be a platform of platform. GSTN could be another platform of platform.
Sure.
My DigiLocker could be another platform of platform. DataGo portal could be and these platform of platform, what it does, you know, Amit, you as a citizen, you as Amit, I as Golok, someone from industry, someone from corporate sector, someone from academia, someone from research institute, some students, some professionals. It gives seamless experience to everyone, on the same way. The feature and nature of my platform remain same. Can we create more platform and platform for the citizens and masses at large? And there I very much see the role of cloud, the role of industry, the role of kind of a new technology in a very larger way, very large.
Sure. Sure.
The third thing, the last thing I'd like to finish is, we are also evolving as a public sector at large. We are really trying to come out from a departmental approach to a enterprise way and to a global way. For an example, today I have connected with all my global embassies, almost 190 odd global embassies and consulate across the world. And I can give you the same experience whether the Indian citizen residing in India or Indian diaspora living outside India.
Sure.
And
sure.
here again, I have taken help of 4 cloud casing zone across the globe to give that kind of experience.
Sure.
So these are happening. Again, as you rightly said, it is not only the commercial and banking sector or the private sector. It is very much happening within the government department and government sectors.
Great. Golok, so thanks for the insights. It's really great to hear your experiences, as you rightly put, right, from one end of the country in Jammu and Kashmir to from to the other in the southern tips of India, versus one end of the spectrum which has access to the super fast broadband services to others which don't necessarily have, right, and yet ensuring that through this entire plethora and gamut of consumers and clients, you are ensuring through cloud, right, that their needs and the demands are being met and enabled. So that's really a great example of that. I know we are, we are coming up to the end of our allocated time per se. And to be honest, this topic we can keep talking for it hours,
Absolutely.
or days for that matter, right? If not even weeks. So, but then I want to maybe just to touch base on one quick point before we hand over to any questions that anybody might have to us, right? And that would be, in my own experience, right, as well, we have seen cloud as being a key driver for digital transformation, right? So, and the way I would, in my own experience, the way I've seen that, right, digital transformation has data at its heart, right? Digital transformation has got security at its heart, right? Digital transformation also has got user experience at its heart as well, right? And if I focus on all those three elements of it, right? So from a data perspective, the fact that we are now no longer saying that data has to be on-prem in a certain location, right? With all these restrictions and constraints blocked on it, right? To being distributed in the cloud, right? Whether it's a private cloud or a public cloud or a hybrid cloud implementation. So that's where cloud gives us an option to solve the data problems, right? And make it much more scalable, early managed in a way as well, right? So that is where data cloud certainly comes in. If you look at the security part of it, again, the fact that we've got the entire range of security services, right? Whether it is our back role-based access control, where it is through ensuring that we've got different levels of authorization, authentication built in, right? Whether we are doing federation across different service providers from a security perspective, there are a range of options that somebody has to implement security in the context of cloud and the organization here as well, right? Which is a problem that cloud certainly solves and enables. And from a user journey perspective as well, right? The fact that now because of the cloud, people can go for the SaaS-based or PaaS-based platform as a service, right, or software as a service-based models, rather than being driven purely through, as I said, off-the-shelf products which needed to be gotten and installed, right, at various client locations. That's where it's enabling people to go to this, service as well, right, services-based model in terms of providing solutions to the user journey. So I certainly see those as being a key distinction factor where cloud is enabling digital transformation. Is that something that you have seen in your own area as well?
Oh, yes, Amit, you have already touched upon the major points, but two more points I would like to add here, saying that, as you rightly said, data is the core, data is the honest, and when it comes to data, I take 2-3 principles in mind, and I walk around that. The first principle is, when it comes to data, I must understand right from ingestion to insights. What is happening in terms of data. That is the first principle I look into when I look into the data and information. The second principle I look when I look into data is, I must understand my data well in terms of data categorization, data classification, in terms of fiduciary data, in terms of public data, in terms of configurable data, in terms of non-sovereign data, right? That is the second principle one must understand and acknowledge before starting this kind of a journey. The third and very important is, I always advocate wherever I speak, saying that doesn't matter, I as a government, you as a banking sector, somebody from industry, academia, whenever we are walking around application, whenever we are working around the data, around the business users, stakeholders, we must know, and I always say that whether it is a cloud, whether it is a on-premises digital foundation you have created, a good digital foundation must be driven by a good data governance model. And when I say a good data governance model, meaning to say that I must know, saying that who is the owner of the data, who is the creator of the data, how is that the data I am going to collect is and how is the collected data I am going to store at rest, how is that the data being collected and stored at rest I am sharing with the third party agencies, And while I am doing that, again, I focus on 4 specific area. And these 4 specific area is, first specific area is I must understand the people, process, and technology who are working around this data. The second principle, I must understand the execution model which I have taken through, for an example, whether it is a centralized model, whether, as you rightly said, is it a federated model, right? So that is the second principle one has to build around this data governance model. The third principle is, I always say that we call the processes and rules of engagement. What is your rules of engagement? And when I say rules of engagement, there it comes your compliances, regulation, processes, a specific law available today. Tomorrow we are coming up with a data protection and privacy law, which will be kind of a very in-depth and insight. And then last and not the least, the tools and technology you deploy. So if you do around this kind of a build around a holistic data governance approach, as I rightly said, Amit, I am doing it, and I don't foresee any such kind of issue coming up.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure,
so that's
sure.
how I put it.
No, that's great. So really appreciate you summarizing that. That's very well said there, Golok. And as you rightly said, anybody who has data and these golden principles at mind and is implementing it, along with the combination of the focus on people, process, and technology, certainly has the right focus and can certainly be, working the direction of success. So really great for you to share those insights with us, Golok. I may just, if I'm not mistaken, there are no questions that have been raised so far. I will just pause to see if there is any more. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to quickly have a look and see if there's any others who have raised the comment and confirmation I have here is there are no questions. So in that case, Golok, I'm just maybe quickly going to summarize for everybody's benefit.
Yes,
the great,
thank you.
And I would really appreciate your inputs during this as well. If there's anything that you thought I've veered out of context. So, but then if I was to put right at a very summary level, it's very key, right, for organizations to look at the strategy design at the very start of the journey, right? The strategy design and transition part, right? And as part of that, look at ensuring that the vision and strategic goals are identified.
True.
A cloud strategy is then formed to tie in with that, right? And then as part of this cloud strategy, to ensure that people have factored the 3 key things that you talked about, right? Their organizational maturity, they have looked at the workforce, consolidation and their workload management. Plus, they've also ensured that they are focused on data, and data. Because if they don't forget, if they forget to look at data, that's really going to call them issues, subsequently for sure, right? Whether it is looking at classification, whether it's looking at sovereign versus non-sovereign, various different classifications and categorizations, right? PII, CII, you name it, right? But making sure that they have the right policies from a cloud perspective, which keeps them in line with their commitments that they have, right? Also, then ensuring that they go for the right model, whether it is public, private, hybrid, right? Whatever works for them, making sure they do that, and then lining up their technology, their organization, and going on a journey, right? The change management journey that we're talking about, right? Where they focus on the people, process, technology, and ensure that they're managing that chain on a day-to-day basis, right? I think that's pretty much the secret of it all at a very high level, right? Now, to add to it, I think I'm really a big fan of the statement that you made there, Golok, right? Which was, the focus has shifted from system to ecosystem.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
For me, that's really a gem, and I will tell you this, Golok. I'm going to quote that so many times I can't even imagine at this stage, because it's a real gem that you have given us an insight you've given there, Golok. Right? Because whether it is open banking, whether it is that I'm doing and seeing in my own area, whether it is your focus on platforms in relation to the passport services, the other services, various services, we are all going towards this open platform based approach, and then exposing these platforms through services-based model, right, to end clients who consumers can avail of it, and then slowly and steadily ensuring that people are utilizing 3 factors, right? Whether 3 factors being the focus on data, the focus on security, governance, compliance, all of those things that are tied there, right? And then also ensuring that the user and their journey and the benefits and the incentives are factored as part of a digital transformation journey based on cloud, right?
Yes.
And utilizing the cloud to get there. I think that's pretty much the secret sauce. If you were to summarize it in 30 minutes, right, that I would put it out there.
No, thank you, Amit. No, I always love interacting with you, and no, it's pleasure interacting with you. And let me at the outset also thanks the Trescon team led by LP, Bhavna, and their entire team bringing such an interactive session with Amit. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Golok. Again, the pleasure is all mine. It's mutual. The feeling is certainly mutual, Golok. And I certainly appreciate the Trescon teams, again, Alfie, Bhavna, and Akshari and everybody else as well. Thanks for your, the coordination, guys, and the opportunity. Golok, pleasure talking as always. And to audience, guys, have a good afternoon and take care of yourselves. Be safe and stay safe and healthy. And all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amit and Golok. Well, I was completely engrossed while the fireside chat was happening. And one of the reasons why we didn't receive any questions from the audience is because of the fact that there were already so many questions directed, Amit, from your end, that it was so precise and so well done. So thank you once again, Golok, for your expertise, and Amit for your expertise as well as conducting it so well. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavna.